start with Mahsa Attaran. Mahsa is an Iranian-born artist. She exhibited internationally at the Iranian Artists Forum, the Iranian Art Museum, Windsor Art Center, and was recently featured in Hyperallergic. She began her journey with a degree in anesthesiology, while also teaching herself photography, soon sharing her knowledge with others through entrepreneurial activities. She then continued her studies in the States at the University of North Dakota, if you can believe it, before coming to Connecticut, where she fell in love. Please welcome Mahsa.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. My name is Mahsa Attaran, an Iranian woman who grew up in Shiraz in a loving, tight-knit family with a big passion for humanity. And I'm here today to tell you my story. So this passion for humanity led me to choose anesthesiology for my undergrad studies. During the first year of my studies, the entrance for men and women was separate. At the entrance, a woman sat fully covered in black, checking student IDs. But she wasn't just checking IDs, she was inspecting us. If your hijab wasn't proper, you couldn't enter. If you had nail polish, she made you remove it. If your headscarf was slightly pushed back, she pulled it forward. If your coat was too fitted, you had to go home and change. I thought it won't be a problem for me. I was wearing the chador, which is a black fabric that covers from head to toe, as you can see in the photo. So I'm following the rules, but even I wasn't enough. She wouldn't let me wear a colorful scarf underneath my black chador. That more than anything suffocated me. I argued with her, I challenged her. I told her it wasn't fair that others did it, but she was in the position of power and I was not. So I found a way to resist. That's when something shifted in me. Before photography, before any of my artistic pursuits, I started making jewelry and accessories, small vibrant pieces that I could attach to my scarf. If I wasn't allowed to wear a colored scarf, I would at least find a way to bring life to the blackness they forced upon me. Later, I had my own brand, and I won the Vogue Talent competition for 2 years. And it was the very first time that I made art in response to an oppression. During my second year of university, I joined a ski tour in the snowy mountains of Shiraz. When we were on the way, they announced that there is a photo competition. I don't know why, but I decided to win that competition. I didn't even have a camera. I just had a small compact camera that I bought at the age of 14 with my pocket money. So when we arrived, I left the bus and I joined my friends and I took the very first photos of my life. That competition was never held and no one was the winner. But I consider myself the winner because the day after I bought my first smartphone and I started taking photos. So I taught myself photography, my brother taught me editing, and my family supported me. I was the only one who was walking in the nursing school with a camera in my backpack. I experimented different types of photography and fell in love with food and advertising photography. And I progressed so rapidly that I could teach photography by the time I graduated from nursing school. After graduating as a top graduate, I decided to change my career ambitions. I opened up my creative studio, Team Che, after a year of dreaming. It was my sanctuary, a historical Persian house, stained glass windows filled the space with color. A big white berry tree stood in the yard like an umbrella. My family made it possible. Mama sewed curtains, my brother and Baba built chandeliers and furniture. We painted together, we made it happen. I taught photography there, I held photo sessions, and it was a showroom for my fashion designs. But then COVID happened. I could not have anyone there, so I made a big decision. I had learned everything I could learn on my own. It it was the time to broaden my vision. So I applied to US universities. And I ended up in North Dakota in December 2021. I had been accepted to the University of North Dakota's MFA program. I arrived in the US with 2 luggages full of warm clothes for North Dakota's brutal winter and bags of nuts, dried fruits, and Persian spices, carefully packed by my parents and some childhood photos. A friend of mine who immigrated earlier than me once shared that she hadn't seen her parents for so long that she couldn't remember how her father's hand looked like, or how soft was her mother's skin. That thought haunted me. I was always afraid of forgetting the small things, the everyday moments. So I started taking photos of my parents secretly, when they are brushing their teeth, when they are filling their water pitcher before going to bed, when they are fixing the toaster together. To save those moments, to save those memories. And then I left. I continued taking photos of everything. I shared every single meal that I ate for over a year with them. Every single class schedule, every street that I walked on. My green onions that I planted on my windowsill to make it feel like home. That was my way of being connected with them. I wanted to be part of that family. And a couple months ago was my birthday. We were still together. We celebrated together. Mama and Baba in Iran, my brother and his wife in London, and my husband and I here. Mama made me cake, Baba blew out the candles, and we took screenshots together. So after 8 months of being in North Dakota, I transferred to Yukon to have a bigger art community and to be close to the art centers. I still didn't know what exactly I want to do with my fine art practice. But the world showed me only after a couple of weeks of beginning the classes. The morality police in Iran killed a girl called Mahsa Amini on the streets with the reason of not wearing proper hijab. It was an extremely hard time for Iranians. We went to protests in New York City, in Boston, but it was not enough for me. I decided to be a voice for those brave women who are being silenced constantly. So I started thinking about my own experience of these critical meanings. I browsed through photos of my grandma's home and my grandfather's library. No photos of women on those shelves. The lady in the middle, that's my great-grandmother. She was a scholar. She wrote books at a time when women barely had the chance to go to school. The whole family is still so proud of her. But her photo hangs on the wall only for 10 days a year during a religious event just for women. And the rest of the year it goes back to a box. And I began to think about the relationship between women and domestic spaces and question that internalized oppression and those normalized stereotypes. For that, I used household and kitchen items, and also Persian rugs. Persian rugs are traditionally made by women, but like the rugs, they are being stepped on, no matter how precious they are. In my second year at Yukon, I visited Minue Mommy's show. I was inspired by the variety of mediums that she had worked in. Since I was always a maker, I wanted to have more than photo in my work. So I started experimenting and finding my method of transferring photos on different domestic surfaces and kitchen supplies. And later, with the laser technology, I used shadows as a means of visual storytelling. No matter how big, small, sharp or faded is the shadow, in the shadows we exist, and we need to take an action. I created digital files of various knives and adorned their blades with intricate Persian patterns. The intent was clear. No matter how much ornamentation is applied to an object designed for violence, its function remains unchanged. A knife, no matter how beautifully decorated, is still a weapon. Over the past 3 years, I have been actively trying to stay connected to home by raising awareness through art and celebrating the Persian art and history. So I built a Persian corner in my home. I found ways to connect to my culture and held onto the elements that made me feel closer to home. Persian food became a powerful tool in this process. Through every meal, I was reaffirming my roots, keeping my identity alive and strong. I made more Persian food since I got married along the way. And my husband is obsessed with Persian cuisine. So I used more and more of those spices. And I ended up with a lot of those spice bags that I couldn't throw away because they were touched by my parents. They were labeled by my mom's hands. And they were packed with Baba's hands. So I started taking photos of them in a luggage like they are the only treasures that I have. And this was the start of creating my book, Joe Attaran, or Settling. And I was lucky that Mama was able to come for a visit after 3 years of being away. And again, she filled our home with her love and made all the food with her magical hands. And at the end of my journey at Yukon, I went back to my favorite, food photography, but in a very deep and meaningful way. Every detail, every image, texture, and written word was chosen with intention. I failed many times while constructing it. I made mistakes, started over, stayed up countless nights. I had never made a book before. I enjoyed every challenge, tears, failures, and successes. This project includes 2 books, the luggage and the cookbook, plus a short film. I had been imagining this project for months, sketching, writing, and collecting references. The luggage was inspired by the actual suitcase I used in my photographs. I reimagined it as a velvet-lined artifact, like a special suitcase with compartments and hidden pockets that hold recipe cards handwritten by Mama. In the main lip pocket, I placed spices, which since carried me back to my childhood home. And the cookbook features all of Mama's recipes, translated into English, not as strict recipes, but as gentle stories, because those dishes are not just meals, they are narratives of care and love. This project is very close to my heart, so I created a short film to share a glimpse of that love. Here is a teaser.
کم تحلیل اگه زیاد بریزی تلخ میشه، به خاطر همین کم میریزم و عمودی یه برشی میگه وسطش و تو نمک میریزی هفته با ایشون گرفته بشه. یه هفته میریم همش میزنیم ذوقش میکنیم بعد مامان میگفتن که پیازچه دنب پیازچه ها، من کل دنب پیازچه توی فریزر دارم. وقتی میخوان میگن شمپعیده رو سرخ بکنی اونا رو میریزم خیلی خوشمزه.
You can watch the full film in this exhibition. And in the end, I would like to express my gratitude to my company members, Dado Sens, John O'Donnell, and Jose Falcone for all of their support. I appreciate it. And a special thank you to Daniel Wachter, to Mark Zorella, to Claire Benson, and Peter Wade for always being supportive and being by my side. And thank you to my MFA cohort for the friendship, support, and unforgettable memories. I will miss you all so much. To my Baba, whose lessons in bravery and importance of fighting for my values and dreams have shaped who I am today. To my Mama, whose boundless love and strength has always been my source of inspiration. You're always with me, even if it's on my earrings. And finally, to my husband Patrick and to my brother Mohammed, whose unwavering support and love made all of this possible. I couldn't have done this without you both. And I would like to say a few sentences in Persian to my parents since they don't speak English and they will see the video after that. مامان و بابای عزیزم، این مسیر رو با عشق شما آغاز کردم و با همون عشق هم ادامه میدم. از صمیم قلب سپاسگزار محبت بی پایان و حمایت بی‌دریغتون هستم. خیلی دوستتون دارم و جاتون خیلی سبزه. With all my love, thank you so much.